Your partner will happily do what you want if you do what I'm about to tell you in this video. I'm Martin. I've been a dating and relationship coach for over 17 years. And today we're going to talk about something that is one of the most powerful things that you can do in any relationship that psychologists are very familiar with, but that very few people think about and consciously do as part of their everyday life and as part of their relationships with their partner and their significant other. Now, of course, you were starting with the premise that you have a partner who wants to have a good relationship with you. And when I say wants to, I mean, because every person in a relationship wants that, but I mean that they have the underlying emotional structure where they think that a good relationship is something that you have to work towards with their partner. If someone comes into a relationship with that mindset, then they are constantly looking for ways to delight their partner. And one of the most destructive things that you can do is to kill that motivation that person has to find more and more ways to delight you. It's very common that early in relationships, when we are really enamored with the other person, that we are constantly looking for ways to make them happy and to make them smile and to introduce things to them that we hope will make them happy. But what happens over time is that we tend to do this less and less. And that's for two reasons. The first reason is because we start to shift our attention to other things in our life. We tend to focus on our relationships very strongly in the very beginning, but as our relationship becomes more stable, we tend to direct more of our attention back to our work, our friends, our family, and other hobbies and activities and things like that. It's very common, a guy who is really into video games might really decrease his video gaming in the beginning of a relationship, but after he sort of gets accustomed to that relationship, he starts to want to spend more time video gaming. And this can be really negative because then the girl suddenly feels like she's not as interested anymore. But anyway, that's another topic for another time. But the point is that this is a tendency early on to put in a lot of effort, but that effort wanes. And so that's the first reason, is just because other things are also important and we need to rebalance our life after a while in our relationships. The second point is that in the beginning of the relationship, we tend to get rewarded a lot more for that effort. We tend to get rewarded a lot more because our partner is also paying a lot more attention in the beginning. And secondly, in the beginning, they haven't become accustomed to getting those things from us. So when a partner does something new for you that they haven't done before, which is very common in the beginning of the relationship, we're really excited about it and we let them know how great we think they are and how awesome it is. But then after you've been with that person for a few months, that stuff starts to be normal. And because it starts to be normal, you stop being as excited about it. And in fact, instead of rewarding that behavior, you start to feel negative or resentful when you don't get the behavior you want any longer. And so that's the thing that is key to making it so your partner continues to do the things you want and increasingly does more and more of the things you want. Even when you're accustomed to that behavior, you still have to communicate to her how great and how wonderful that behavior is and how much you like it. You can think of it like, from your perspective, you might feel like, oh, well, I've already told her that I like that, and I've already told her before, so why do I have to keep telling her? Now, that's one perspective you can have. But if you flip it and you think of it the other way around, the classic example that I use with my clients, and I say, well, how much could your girlfriend or wife tell you how much she loves your dick? Do you go, oh, you already told me that, I'm tired of hearing it? No, of course not. You never get tired of hearing it. You love to hear it. So it's the same thing. Anything that your partner loves to hear from you about how wonderful they are, or how much you appreciate them about something they do, they never get tired of hearing that. They love to hear it over and over again. And one of the key things is that many people say, oh, well, but if I say it every time, isn't she going to get bored of it and it's going to lose its meaning? And the answer is, no, it won't. And let me tell you why. The reason it won't get old is because even if you try to express to her your appreciation every single time, and even if you think you express your appreciation and let her know how much you appreciate it every single time, the reality is that you're not doing it every single time. You're missing it because of distractions, because you didn't notice, all sorts of reasons why you may not notice. See, they notice every time they do the behavior, but you don't notice every time they do it. And if you flip this around, I'm sure that you can think of plenty of times when you've done something that you thought your girl really liked and appreciated, but she didn't seem to notice. And so in the beginning, when you first are with someone new or in a relationship, and not necessarily just someone new, but when someone does something that you like, it is super important to let them know that you like and appreciate that thing. Because if you don't, then they're not going to do it again unless they were doing it because it's something that they like. So for example, I like to, here's just a really simple example. I look up restaurants all the time, and I'm constantly looking for new places that I want to go. And so a girl that I'm dating, whether she rewards me for that behavior or not, I'm going to still engage in taking her to new places she's never been and to eating new foods that she's never had before. That's just going to happen regardless. And so in this way, she doesn't really need to let me know that she appreciates me for that, because I'm doing that for myself, and by her dating me, she's going to be a part of that. But let's use another example, which would be, let's say like I buy her a small gift of some kind. Now, gift giving is not something that's a big part of what I do. And so if I do give her some kind of gift and she doesn't really show that she appreciates that, then I'm not going to go out of my way to really do that regularly. Whereas if I know that she really likes it when I do that and she really values that and it's a big deal for her, then I'm going to make a mental note of that and I'm going to do it more often. So that's really key, is that when your partner does something that you like, you have to be sure to let them know, to communicate to them that you thought that was fantastic and you really liked it. But here's the other thing is, let's say in the example of me that I was saying is buying a small gift. If I buy a small gift and she seems really excited and happy about it, and then the next time I'm like, oh, you know what, she really liked it when I did it, I'm going to do it again. And the next time she seems sort of lukewarm about it, I'm less likely to do it because I went out of my way. And she might think, oh, well, that's just a thing he does now. And so she doesn't need to show that she appreciates it. But that's incorrect thinking on her part. So from your perspective, whether you're a guy or a girl and you're listening to this, when your partner does something that you like, be sure to show your appreciation and let them know that you really like it every time. Because sometimes, as I said, you're going to miss it. You're not going to notice it. Maybe you think it's not a big deal, and so because it's not a big deal, you think you don't need to express it, or like I said, you might just miss it. And so if you just focus on doing it every time, you will end up doing it at least some of the time. And by doing it some of the time, it is likely to persist. Now in psychology, this is called positive reinforcement, and I'm sure you've heard this. Most everyone has heard of the idea of positive reinforcement, but people haven't really taken the time to implement it in their life to get more of the behavior that they want. Right? Because the way it works is that in a relationship with someone, that person engages in many, many different kinds of behavior. Some of them are directed at you in terms of, they want to do something for you. And some of those things are just things that they did randomly or that they did for themselves. Now, for the random behaviors, because, people don't always do the same thing, they do different things. So for the random behaviors, if you let them know that you appreciated that random behavior, they're going to note it and make it a non-random, purposeful behavior in the future. And if you continue to show appreciation, then it will appear more and more frequently over time. And it'll appear more and more frequently over time because you make them feel good when they do it, and because that behavior will become part of their awareness. And because it's more a part of their awareness, they're going to notice more opportunities to engage in that behavior that you like. And one of the really nice things about this is that as they engage in more and more behavior that you like, that time and energy they spend on doing those activities that you like will crowd out more of the behaviors that you don't like. So that's another key aspect, because there's a limited amount of time. And so you want them to spend more and more of their time doing things that you like and less time doing things that annoy you or that you don't like. And so by encouraging the things that you do like, the percentage of time they spend on those actions increases, which gives them less time to spend time on the behavior you don't like. Now, I've seen this many times with my clients. They have behaviors they don't want the girl to do. And they think that the way to get her to not do those behaviors is to talk to her about that behavior. And they think that if they talk to her about that behavior, she's magically going to stop doing it. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. It can, but it depends on the underlying motivation for that behavior. So that is not a reliable way. If that's reliable, then you could just do it with yourself. You could just decide for yourself that you're going to change some behavior, and bang, it would change the next day. But that's not how it works. Even with ourselves, negotiating and getting ourselves to do and engage in a different behavior or to stop a particular behavior is very, very difficult. And it takes a lot of time. So what we do instead is we want to encourage other behavior instead, and that behavior can gradually replace the behaviors we don't like and that we don't want. And it's far more effective. And generally speaking, I feel like discussing it doesn't really help much or isn't even maybe very useful. The reason people like to discuss it is because in their mind, if they bring it up and they talk to her about it, then they've done their part. And now it's all their partner's fault for not changing the behavior. But even if it's a behavior they also want to change, it's not clear that discussion, well, first of all, as I was saying, even if it's a behavior that they want to change, it doesn't mean that they easily can. And now by it being this open discussion, now every time they sort of fail, now they feel bad, and they think they feel bad already. They already feel bad because they want to change it and they're not doing it. And now they know that you don't like it, and so now they feel doubly bad. And generally speaking, when people feel bad, they typically need to relieve those negative feelings in other ways. And those other ways often are not positive. And this is one of the best ways that you can make it easy for another guy to slide in on your girl. You make her feel bad about herself, and then, the next guy, or, because, if she's an attractive woman, or maybe even not that attractive, she's going to have other guys that are interested. You're making her feel bad about something, and these other guys are going to be, oh, baby, I don't know why they would say that. You are so amazing, and you're so great. And now she starts to feel good being with this, interacting with this, because a lot of times this stuff is happening just over social media. She's feeling good interacting with these other people, and bad when she's interacting with you because she knows she's not meeting your expectations. If you don't discuss it, but you just encourage the behavior that you want without discussing the behavior that you don't like, then this behavior can gradually disappear over time. And she also spends a lot of time feeling good with you because you're always showing your appreciation and communicating to her how much you like the things that she is doing. And you're focusing on those things and not focusing on the stuff you don't like that isn't good. And so that makes the time that she spends with you much better, and it makes her feel much better. Now, maybe you think, well, but I want to be able to be upset with her about whatever. And it's like, okay, you can do that. And if you're a short-term thinker, maybe you feel really good about being upset with her about this thing that you don't like. And you get to imagine that it's going to magically be fixed. But the reality is that very rarely is the case. And so you feel great because you got to let off some steam, but you're doing long-term damage to your relationship. And it's easy to tell someone what you're unhappy about, but a lot of times, oftentimes, it's not really going to lead to the desired result. So that's really what I would advise, and I've found that for me and for my clients, that when we do this, that it really improves the quality of the relationship, because you find that over time you just have your partner just doing more and more of what you like and doing more things that make you really happy and excited and doing them better. Because that's another aspect, is that oftentimes they start to do something and they do it only in a minor way and they're not doing it that great of a job at it. But as you show your appreciation and they start to put more and more of their creativity into doing that thing that they know you like, and they just get better and better and better at it as they put more attention and creativity into that thing that they found out is something you respond positively to. And I think it's great when I date girls who do this, because I want to find ways to delight the girl that I'm with. And, I think of, 10 or 20 different ways. And it's like, well, I can't do all 10 or 20 of them. And so when I do the different things and I see the ones that they really seem to appreciate the most, that's great for me, because now I can focus on those things more, and the things that she didn't really care about or like that much, I can just get rid of them. And so that means that there's less things that I have to do, and that the things that I do, I get more bang for my buck. So that to me makes it a much better relationship over time for both her and for me as well.